Hello, fellow readers. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Paul Stanley faced the music, a life exposed. Many of you probably don't know that at heart I'm a rocker. You know, you might have known that I played in a blues band, but even then, we rocked out. And back in the day, back when Kiss was first getting started, I was in a band, a couple different bands over the years, and yeah, we actually played some Kiss songs. So I'm a rocker at heart. But this story, Paul Stanley's book, is great. I can hardly put it down. I read it this weekend. I mean, and it's not a small book. I mean, this book is 462 pages. Just couldn't put it down. And I'm glad I read it, because it's not just a book about Kiss the band. It's more a book about life and the struggles that, you know, Paul Stanley had to overcome, and his perspective on life. I mean, the guy is pretty smart, and there was a lot of misconceptions about the band Kiss that I even held until I read this book, things I didn't know. Some shocking things. Just some unbelievable things. So I remember seeing Kiss, I think it was the first time I saw them was probably about 1975, when they just came out and they had that big Kiss sign behind them. And they were kind of like larger than life cartoon characters. But then I remember seeing them again, I think it was on the Detroit Rock City tour, and I was basically right at the stage. I was maybe, it was standing room only, and I was maybe 4 people behind, standing right in front of Gene Simmons, watching his every move, because I play bass. Copped his Detroit Rock City, you know, note for note, lick for lick, watching what he was doing. I stayed up 4 o'clock in the morning just to burn it into my fingers. But, and then they were like huge at that time. I mean, their stage show had just gotten bigger. And the funny thing is, though, even though I thought they were a pretty cool band, there's a lot of other bands I thought were better rock bands. And the whole idea behind all their promotion, and that Gene Simmons was this mastermind, you know, marketer, he blows all that away. I mean, a lot of this stuff just happened, and it didn't happen because they planned it. It just happened. It wasn't really luck, because they were prepared. In fact, these guys used to rehearse, you know, 6, 7 days a week, you know, 12 hours a day. They were dedicated to their music. And Paul Stanley was dedicated to becoming a rock star. You know, for him, that was the only option. It was do or die. He burned the bridge behind him. Didn't have a fallback position. So if you're into music, into rock, and really just being in the life, and just seeing how this guy grew. I mean, basically it takes you, you know, through his whole life, but I mean, from a young man in his 20s to a man in his 50s and 60s, and his ideas and his realizations. I mean, it's a really good book, and I highly recommend it. And God, I just wish I'd get to meet this guy, because I mean, it just has an incredible story to tell. He seems like he's a pretty cool guy too. I mean, you know, you'd think most of these guys, rock stars, are egomaniacs or not, but I think Paul has it all in perspective. I mean, you know, being in bands and traveling, I know what it's like, you know, when you play 3 different states in 3 different days, and you wake up and you don't even know what state you're in. I mean, literally, that's the way it can be. You have no clue. And you think what you did last night, no, you did that a couple nights ago. It just becomes one big blur. And the way some, you know, promoters and club owners treat you, and you wonder why bands have these, you know, these reputations for these outrageous demands. Well, it's just a little payback. That's all it is that, you know, like Van Halen didn't want any brown M&Ms, and if they did, they trashed the room. That kind of stuff. It might be juvenile behavior, But the thing is, even in that case, the reason why they did it was because they wanted everything done right. And if you can't pay attention to the details of a contract, then they don't want anything to do with you. They're not going to do business with you. But anyway, the main thing is like I said, I believe this is a great book, and I suggest you read it, and you'll have a takeaway from it. I guarantee it. Paul Stanley, Face the Music, A Life Exposed.